What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Domuto. We back with another video today. We are watching UnrealEntGaming, Dragon Ball Kakumei. You know what I'm saying? And they just posted a new one. So Vegeta vs Amaron, explosive finale, a shocking promise of revenge coming. Okay. All right. It's been a while since the last chapter. I do know that Vegeta just got Ultra Instinct, right? In the last one, I do remember that. But besides that part, we gonna get into it. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Shit.
As our story now ultimately continues,
by the time y'all watch this, I'll be in DreamCon.
Destruction, Amaron being shown having to not only go as far as to dismantle Vegeta on planet Sadala, but to also go as far as to see God of Destruction Amaron go as far as to dismantle the other Saiyans on planet Sadala. As with the other Saiyans, including both Broly and Vegeta being shown immobilized prior to having Amaron pursue the other Universe 6 Saiyans within planet Sadala, it had only now proven to be painfully obvious that nobody on planet Sadala outside of Vegeta was in fact strong enough to contest against Amaron, as with God of Destruction Amaron not only proving to be overwhelming enough and having to contest against Caulifla and Cabba, with King Sadala having to be shown looking on, no matter who it was that stood in opposition to Amaron, whether that be Kale, Caulifla, Cabba, King Sadala, or any of the other Saiyans on planet Sadala, not only did Amaron go as far as to welcome the idea of having to dismantle and challenge each and every individual Saiyan all by himself, with Vegeta having to painfully look on, but Amaron also made it very painfully obvious that he was going to punish and torture the Saiyans for the rebellion, as Vegeta had no other choice but to look on. It was only just then during the course of battle, as Amaron had made his way through and having to bypass each and every individual Saiyan, including Cabba by the very end, and making his way directly towards him, the stakes were now shown having to be at their absolute highest, especially by having Cabba being one of the last ones shown by the very end, which only went as far as to frighten the others, especially with Amaron being shown to make his way towards him, to which as Amaron was then shown having to
all this shit happened, God.
Enough from out of nowhere, with Amaron making his intentions very clear by not only going as far as to be shown having to impale Cabba, but from that point also be shown ripping his heart out. This had only now gone as far as to ignite the fire and the passion within people like Caulifla, and forcing Caulifla to make her way in. However, with Amaron having to carry out his acts in squeezing and crushing Cabba's heart within his arm, by also being shown blasting Caulifla with his other hand, it was only with tears having to then fill Caulifla's eyes, as Caulifla went on to then ask Amaron as to what he had taken her for, was where from in that very moment we then see how one of Amaron's blasts had indeed made his way and having to pierce Caulifla's hip completely, and from that point not only going as far as to show Caulifla powering down from Super Saiyan all the way back down to base form, but with the other Saiyans having to utter that it's completely over, we only then see how Amaron was beginning to charge up for a massive attack and assuming to wipe out the entire planet for good, as Amaron then went on to utter, "The despair in your eyes, there's no fighting spirit left in you, and so it's pitiful, for I am now disappointed." But then, it was only shockingly enough just upon with King Sadala being shown having to appear behind Vegeta, and from that point being shown extending his arm out and passing his energy down to Vegeta, was where the ultimate act of selflessness was being shown having to be bestowed upon Vegeta, as tears were beginning to fill his eyes, because just as Vegeta began to understand that there was nobody left on this planet aside from himself left that was able to contest against such a creature, was where Vegeta ultimately knew that this was going to be it, and if Vegeta didn't do everything within his own ability to stop Amaron here and now, then Amaron was
this point
to carry out and fulfill his
we thought I missed a chapter or something.
Of planet Sadala for good, which wasn't by any stretch of the imagination something that Vegeta had wanted to see, especially after knowing that his own people within Universe 7 had been wiped out a long time ago by Frieza. So instead, it was only just upon with King Sadala shown collapsing and giving the last bits of energy on over to Vegeta, as Vegeta was slowly shown making his way towards Amaron. This was now ultimately going to be it, with Vegeta understanding the fact that this was going to be the last opportunity that he would ever have in dropping and putting down Amaron for good once and for all. And so, in a beautifully spectacular way, with Vegeta shown having to give it his all, empowering right back into Super Saiyan Blue evolution by giving it all he has in this upcoming and final battle against Amaron, was where surprisingly enough, even though he has been missing since the beginning of this very story, as a hand was slowly beginning to tap onto Vegeta's shoulder from behind, in a beautiful way we only from that point then see the spirit of Goku being shown smiling, as Vegeta was from that point then shown preparing for his final battle against Amaron, was where the symbolism itself by having Goku by his side had broken Vegeta down so much so in causing tears to flow down Vegeta's eyes. Vegeta from that point only then began to remember the Saiyans from this planet along with Goku himself by having to utter sorry, with Vegeta going as as far as to admit that this was going to be the final opportunity that he would have in putting Amaron down for good, as Vegeta then went on to utter, "I've already died and had literally been through hell, but obviously you haven't, and I intend to show you a real taste of it, Amaron." Incredible, one of the other Saiyans went on to then chime in, "Such mental strength. And for him, saving Son Goku is more than just a mission." Vegeta went on to then quickly dash towards Amaron as Caulifla went on to chime in, "But this is now going to be all or nothing," to which as soon as Amaron was then shown having to finally engage against Vegeta, despite with Vegeta unable to wield the previous power that he had of Ultra Instinct, but by now also being shown having to edge out Amaron just barely by being shown kicking him, was when Vegeta then went on to continue, "For him, it's all about honoring his destiny. In any case," Broly went on to then look on up by chiming in, "This Son Goku helped me a lot too," he says, "and from what I've seen, Vegeta has been indebted to him for years, even if I don't really know as to why. I can see now that this has impacted him," to which as Vegeta was then shown having to blast Amaron from point blank range, not only was Vegeta now shown having to be effective enough during the course of this battle in having to edge out Amaron completely, but it was only after Vegeta's initial blast, as Amaron went on to recognize Vegeta's potential, was when Amaron went on to then utter, "You mortal bastard. You've got a punctured shoulder, multiple fractures, and your key's almost depleted, and it's getting theatrical, and so how could you still stand back up? For I don't understand." As Vegeta then went on to power right back down by then questioning, let me ask you again." But then, to his own shock, before Vegeta even had the opportunity to ask his question, as Amaron was shown stumbling on forward before being shown collapsing to the ground.
Talking all that shit.
Vegeta's attack was effective enough in having to drop Amaron completely, as Vegeta then went on to respond, "Well, it's about time, you filthy jerk, for you've been playing hard to get, but the end result remains the same, for we are both at the same point," Vegeta says, "as using your destructive technique on such a large scale necessarily requires large amounts of energy, as no technique is perfect," with Amaron having to then utter, "I must admit that no one but Lord Dormel had ever pushed me to such extremes, and that power you used, but one thing's for sure, that the end is nigh, as I'll go and remember this planet and its fighters, especially you, Vegeta of Universe 7. Oh, don't waste your last breaths of strength and get over here," Vegeta went on to then smile by responding, "as something tells me that your two minions already miss you." And Amaron has had enough, because with Amaron attempting to blast Vegeta with Vegeta barely shown having to avoid this, it was only just upon with Vegeta taking this opportunity and from that point being shown edging out Amaron yet again, was where Vegeta had once again gone on the offensive in having to drop Amaron once again before having to initially engage once more, as Vegeta then went on to continue, "You see, and since your arrival here, you've done nothing but sell yourself as the new god of destruction of Universe 14, and yet you seem to have forgotten that you're nothing more than a spare wheel for the deities, for you are not an immortal being, for you are absolutely nothing," with Amaron having to then respond, "Lord Dormel has set his sights on me, Amaron, as I was only a lost
getting your ass cooked, nigga.
Rubs the shoulders with the divine, as I was chosen by the highest authorities, as it was me who has received the blessing of the gods. Me, Vegeta," to which as Amaron was then shown
your bitch ass down.
Power up, was when Vegeta then went on to question, "What? Oh, how can he? You, for I refuse to lose to the likes of you," Amaron says, with Vegeta powering up by responding, "To lose to me as to what you used to be, huh? Well, excuse me, for you who sits above all have no idea what drives us mortals to fight here today, and as I forbid you to pronounce my name ever again, Vegeta." Vegeta continues. To which, as the situation now was beginning to grow even more intense than how it was shown being previously, Amaron was by no means looking to take any more chances by instead from that point being shown having to dash up towards the sky and having to aim his arm down on the planet, as Amaron's initial goal here and now was to completely destroy the entire planet alongside Vegeta, who is on it, but with Vegeta shown not looking to take any more chances by instead also being shown powering right back into Super Saiyan Blue evolution, it was only just before Amaron even had the opportunity in having to destroy the entire planet was when Amaron had looked down in shock by then responding, "And once I'm finished with you, I will free my allies and hasten your end, as it'll only be a matter of time, Vegeta." But to Amaron's shock, as soon as Vegeta from that point was shown having to appear right beside him was when Vegeta went on to then respond, "And you honestly think I'm going to let you
dig
do as
deep.
you will?
Okay, Vegeta.
Mistake," Vegeta says. As within the quickness within that very moment, as Vegeta was then shown having to uppercut Amaron directly in the stomach, this initial attack in and of itself had not only gone as far as to completely shatter Amaron's spirits by having to stop him in his tracks for good, but it was only with the initial attack itself having to be shown sending Amaron flying onto a nearby moon and crashing and creating a massive crater, was when Amaron from that point was shown being rendered completely defeated, as Amaron was even struggling to stand back up, with Amaron having to utter, "It's impossible, for I don't understand," with Vegeta then having to shout, "Now get the hell out of here and find your superior scum and send them a message from Vegeta of Universe 7, as I want you to go and tell them, Amaron," with an angry Amaron having to look on, "and whether it's today or tomorrow, we're ready and waiting for you," Vegeta continues, "for you have declared war onto us, and so get it into your heads that you are going to lose. Amaron, I will never forget nor forgive you for what you have inflicted on the people of Sadala, on Cabba, and on everyone, for I will never forget it. And so go and train as much as you'd like, for this humiliation will haunt you for the rest of your life," Vegeta continues, "and pray that you never come across my path again, for you overestimated your own nature and you will always be a mere mortal."
Man, kill that nigga.
To utter, "I apparently don't have much of a choice, as I'm going to leave this miserable planet, but I'm telling you right now, you Saiyans will disappear from the multiverse in the very near future, and so enjoy your last days of peace, Vegeta." To which it was only upon with Vegeta being shown having to stick his arm out and presumably having to finish off Amaron for good was when Amaron then went on to continue, "As you're drained of all your energy and the slightest attack will doom you all," with Vegeta uttering, "Big Bang." As with Amaron now understanding the fact upon having to look into Vegeta's eyes that this was going to be it, was when from in that very moment now from out of nowhere, as an angel staff had then gone as far as to appear and now having to disappear Amaron completely, was when Amaron was then shown having to be extremely lucky enough in being transported off of planet Sadala.
Oh, you a hoe, Amaron.
Verse 6, as Vegeta went on to then utter, "Gone. He's finally gone," Vegeta says, "but why? This feeling. And so why does this damned feeling persist?" Vegeta continues, "For this feeling that we are in even more danger than we ever were," to which as we were then shown making our way on over to Universe 0, it was only after a brief time was shown having to pass with the evil angels and gods of destruction, including the mother of the angels being shown trapped within ice, as the ice was then slowly shown having to break. It was only just upon with the ice being shown having to slowly crack, with the mother of the angels being shown having to smile beneath it, was when the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Kakumei manga chapter number 28 special then comes to a close. Now, this was without a doubt an extraordinary manga chapter, because
definitely was.
with Amaron's story wrapping up for the time being and having to be shown escaping by the very end, we can now finally move on over to see what the others have been up to, which includes both the heroes and the villains, especially by having to see the mother of the angels by the very end shown smiling beneath the ice. As formidable as Amaron was, he was actually beginning to get a little boring, because he was so OP in the idea that nobody nobody was around to stop him, especially with Broly having to be immobilized relatively early. The only criticism that I do have is not seeing anyone by the likes of either Caulifla and Kale be able to transform further beyond Super Saiyan, in showcasing variations such as Super Saiyan 2 and or 3, or even going as far as to showcase Super Saiyan 3 Kefla go up against Amaron, do I only think was a missed opportunity, especially by having Broly not be shown fighting Amaron at the very end. But to see Vegeta be the last one standing in the very end by encapsulating Goku's spirit and just about to finish off Amaron before he was shown leaving, do I only think was that a very good choice in having Vegeta be the last one among his people to stand by the very end? However, I want to go ahead and get your thoughts down in the comment section below, not only in regards to this
I see where you come
specifically, but what you guys believe is.
Man, it's good to always see Vegeta do his thing, but yeah, the other Saiyan, I didn't realize it. Yeah, the other Saiyans just have Super Saiyan. Like they haven't evolved yet. They've been training very hard with Vegeta. They haven't evolved past anything yet. That is true. That is very true. I give you that one, really. But anyway, it is what it is. So shout out to the Kakumei crew, whatever, and UnrealEntGaming. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Check out the last chapter right here. Check out another video right here. And peace.